I am a money-driven capitalist to help people. Because things don't happen to me, I'm not a victim, and they don't happen for me anymore either. I'm not even an optimist anymore. I am a toptimist because everything happens through me for others, allowing me to expand and accelerate everything that I want. The what, the why, and the how.
Love you, man.
Wow, thank you. All right, thank you. You guys are awesome. Well, when they asked me to speak here at Thrive, thank you. I had no reservation because that's my ultimate goal in life is to thrive. And what thrive means to me is to create energy that creates its own energy. In fact, my personal mission, not only in life, but here today, is simply to empower you, to empower others, to be happy. And I know people look at me when I tell them, you know what, today we have an extraordinary opportunity because we can reach about 1/8 of the world and change the world in one simple day. If I can empower you, or at least 1,000 of you today, in order to empower another 1,000 people, to empower another 1,000 people to be happy, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 billion people, about 1/8 of this universe. 1/8 of the world can be empowered to be happy, and there's nothing more important in life than to be happy. And I'm going to teach, through my journey, lessons of happiness. It's really simple, of how to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. My definition of happiness is really simple. It's the enjoyment of the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit, pursuit of your potential, your truth, no one else's. So I was born in Akron, Ohio. Anyone here from Ohio? Whoa, not a bad place to be from. And I had a single mom and 6 kids in my family. My dad left when I was 5 years old. And when my dad left, he was my hero. But he left us with my mom. She was a 2nd grade teacher. She had some great philosophies. Number 1, the fetus wasn't fully developed till after graduate school. 2, doctor, lawyer, or failure. And she drove my siblings. In fact, I always say my siblings are parents' wet dreams. They all went to Harvard, Penn, Columbia, summa cum laude, extremely intellectual, academic people. I was kind of the lower end of the gene pool. I really didn't have great aspirations of studying in the Ivy Leagues, but I did want to be rich. And the reason that I wanted to be rich was really simple. I grew up happy. And the only time I wasn't happy as a child was when I would catch my mom crying because of money. The car would break down, the dishwasher, she couldn't afford to send us to summer camp. There was always some sort of scarcity or need. And in my mind, from the age of 5, I thought that money could buy happiness because that was the only time I truly wasn't happy. And so I lived my life thinking if I only could be rich, my life would be perfect. I'd live to my potential. Now, my first decision, and one of the first lessons I teach, is don't limit your point of entry. Nothing's more frustrating to me when young people come up to me with a great developed plan on how they're going to be successful. I always say, if you want to make God laugh, come up with a great developed plan. I was somebody that had a plan when I was little, and my plan was I was going to be rich as a professional football player. I always get laughs. I don't know why. If you saw my real dad, no kidding. I did. I really believed that I could be a professional football player based off of one reason. I could run scared faster than anyone I knew angry. And I developed my speed and agility because we had a 2-bedroom apartment and I had a really big mouth. And I used to talk a lot of trash to my brothers, 4 of them, and they would chase me around, and I learned how to juke and jive. And when I got out onto a football field, it felt like this room. It was incredible. So I worked really hard. I developed the skills, the knowledge, and I consistently stayed inspired to be a professional football player. And believe it or not, I got a scholarship to play football in college. And my very first game in college, I was so excited because I thought, man, I'm a freshman, still the fastest one on my team. They put me out on the kickoff team, 147 pounds, 5'7". But I was the bullet on the kickoff team, and I remember specifically lining up telling myself this is the start of millions of dollars. It wasn't even about football. It was the start of making millions of dollars. That was my opportunity to show that I could play professional football. So I flew down the field, and sure enough, first one down there, the ball carrier caught the kick, and I blasted him. And in my head, I'm like, oh yeah. And then all of a sudden, I was lifted off the ground, and all I could think of is, oh no, and flying backwards onto my back, and the running back actually stepped on me and kept on going. As I lied there embarrassed on the ground, the next thought in my mind was really simple: doctor, lawyer, or failure. I started planning on how I was going to take advantage of my pre-med qualification and how I better get into the study mode here in college instead of the athletic mode. And by the way, the guy who ran me over, I'm the first one ever to get Christian Okoye's autograph. He, a size 13, if you want to see it, it's still stuck right here. Those of you who don't know, he's known as the Nigerian Nightmare. And the year after he ran me over, he was the AFC Player of the Year. Just confirming the fact that I could never play in the NFL. I've achieved many things in my life, but still today, people ask me, what's the closest to your potential that you've ever gotten? I believe that was the closest I've ever gotten, considering my skills and my knowledge. An average football player in college. Because of my skills and knowledge, that's the highest level to me, the closest to my potential I've ever reached. I stayed focused from the time I was 5 years old till 22 with an objective in mind. And although I didn't reach my ends, I'm still today so inspired by the fact of I reached so close to my potential. After my first semester of football, I went over to visit my oldest brother, who was a doctor, and I visited him. He's doing his residency in the hospital. And I went in to visit him to find out about being a doctor. And the first thing I saw at the hospital and said to my brother was, man, I hate hospitals. He almost fell over. He goes, Dave, what? I'm like, I hate hospitals. He goes, you're pre-med. God knows you're not going to be a football player. How can you hate hospitals and want to be a doctor? I said, well, I don't want to be a hospital doctor. I want to be a sports physician. I'll be on the sidelines and on the field. I'm not going to be in a hospital. He said, you know that doctors have to be in hospitals even if they're sports doctors. Well, I was 18 years old, and then he gave me a great piece of advice. Lesson number 1. David, be more interested than interesting. Be more interested than interesting. And I have lived that question, that challenge of my entire life, to live the empty mile. So many people, I was blessed to run the most notable sports agency in the world, Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Most people know him from the movie Jerry Maguire. And I can't tell you, since the day I was CEO there, how many kids, 18 years old or 28 years old or 58 years old, have come up to me and said, oh, I want to be just like you. I want to be a sports agent. That's my dream. And all I really can respond is, be more interested than interesting. Ask those 2 critical questions. How can I be of service? And do you know anyone that can help me? Always be more interested. And those are the 2 questions truly of value that you can find in what you want to do, as well as extract and accelerate what you want to do and exponentially grow with what you want to do. So of course, immediately I decided, can't be a doctor, I would be a lawyer. And when I decided to go to law school, I went and was more interested than interesting. I got terrific grades. I really looked at everything. In fact, I went and researched what the highest paying lawyer jobs were, because my goal still was to make money so I could buy my happiness. I found out that maritime lawyers, oil and gas lawyers, litigators, were extremely well paid. So I chose the law school that I wanted to go to, Tulane University, because they had the leading maritime law program. And when I graduated, I had 2 job offers. Number 1, to be an oil and gas litigator. And secondly, to sell legal research online. Now, I believe everyone should always have mentors. The biggest mistakes that I've always made are because I never asked for help. In fact, one of the goals here today to empower you to empower others to be happy is to allow them to ask for help, to teach them, empower them, inspire them to ask for help. That's how we connect to others. Everybody loves to give, and as you'll hear, most people are afraid to ask for help. Well, I asked my mom for help, and I asked her what I should do. Should I be a real lawyer, or should I sell legal research online? Without blinking, my mom said, David, you need to be a real lawyer because this internet thing is a fad. Lesson number 2, just because somebody loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. I see it as one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they go to the wrong source for help. Those who are powerful enough to ask for help, those that are humble enough to ask for help, go to the wrong people for help. They don't go to the people that sit in the situation that they want to be in. They go to the people that love us most, thinking that just because they care so much about us, the advice must be good. And those people are usually called your mom or your dad or your sister, your brother, your best friends, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. And what happens is we end up resenting those people that we love the most when we're capable of manifesting what they want for us. And it happens all the time. And we make bad decisions all the time because somebody says, oh, you know what, you should really consider doing something else. Oh, that really is not going to work out. And all they want is what's best for you, but they don't know what's best for you. Only one person on earth knows what's best for you. You. And so I decided for the first time in my life to combat my mother. Most people don't know, but my mom was a 3rd-degree black belt in the martial arts. So she was a terrifying woman. She was a 3rd-degree black belt in the martial art of Jewish guilt, which is a lifetime of pain, not just one quick slap of the neck. Still carries on today. But I went against her, and I decided that I'd go and sell legal research online. Within 9 months, I made my first $1 million. Made my first $1 million in 9 months at the age of 25 years old, and I bought my mom a house, and I bought my mom a car, and I paid off my law loans. My biggest dream in life was to be rich enough to do those 3 things. I just wanted to buy my mom a house and a car and pay off my law loans. I remember when I was graduating law school, it was a recession, and praying to God, if I could just pay off my law loans, buy my mom a house, buy my mom a car, I would shovel shit with my hands 6 days a week, 12 hours a day with gratitude. That's how much I wanted it. That's how much I wanted that $1 million. I also, when I was 5 years old, dreamed of making $1 million. I thought if I make $1 million, I'll never have to work again. I'll buy my mom that house and a car. I continued my career, not limiting my point of entry. Another lesson I learned too, was really funny when I graduated law school, most of my friends and family were too literally embarrassed to say that I was a salesperson. My mom would go around parties and go, oh, my son's a lawyer for a legal publisher. Right? She made me take the bar so I could tell people I was really a lawyer. My friends behind my back, oh my God, can you believe he's not taking that job with the oil company? Can you believe he's not going to be a real lawyer? He's going to sell legal research online? 9 months later, they were begging me for jobs. Everybody was telling me how lucky I was, how incredibly smart I was. I never limited my point of entry, and that carried through. We sold West Publishing in 1995. Now you know how old I am. For $3.4 billion. And that's when companies weren't selling for $1 billion. Somehow, one touch of favor changed my life. Created by action, not by sitting at home high on my mom's couch, dreaming about what I wanted, but a combination of dreaming and acting upon those dreams. I then parlayed that into the Silicon Valley, started branding myself as an internet guru with a ton of internet experience. I raised millions of dollars in the Silicon Valley for a wireless proxy server company. We raised $169 million in that space, transcoding the internet onto WAP phones and Palm 7s. Once again, I have no engineering background at all. My greatest skill is communication and sales, being able to share a vision, simply to connect to people emotionally. One of the biggest lessons I learned at a young age is people buy on emotion for logical reasons. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. So we have to connect to people emotionally first and then create a business case behind it of value. By then in the Silicon Valley, it was very chic and cool to have a young CEO. Samsung approached me about their new phone called a convergence device. It was a Windows CE device with Bluetooth. in 1999 called the very clever name, the PC-E phone, half phone, half PC. And at the age of 32, I was CEO of what became the second largest manufacturers of phones. The interesting thing at that time, I married my dream girl. I was in love in the 4th grade. I asked this girl, my neighbor, through a friend at 6th grade camp if she would go steady with me. And she said no in front of everyone. Told me to ask her herself. So I decided, like every great 12-year-old, to throw an egg at her. And then the next year, throw rocks at her, ask her why her friends were prettier than her, which made it really fun when I have 3 teenage daughters and they would complain about boys being mean to them. I said, be careful, you might marry him someday. In fact, it just shows my persistence. I actually ran back into her when I was 27 years old, and we were married at 30. I had 3 children by the time I was CEO of Samsung's phone division, and we built this beautiful home. I had a Ferrari, a Porsche. I had a motorhome and a boat. Everything I ever wanted, I could afford. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't happy. I remember at 30, my father kind of reappeared back into my life. At the age of 10, my dad, who was getting married to women closer to my age and spending a lot of money, my mom never getting checks. Back then, it wasn't the same laws, so those child support checks weren't coming. I couldn't imagine what it felt like for my mom as she was working 2 jobs, packing our dinner in a paper bag so she could, after school, go fill up turnstiles at the 7-Eleven just so we could eat. And me in the back seat, I'm getting choked up thinking about what an idiot I was, telling her, God, why aren't you more like Dad? Right? You're a loser, right? About 10 years old, sorry, my dad he made a big mistake in our relationship. He forgot my birthday. My dad forgot my birthday when I was 10, and he was my hero, and I was seriously crushed. And when I called him to see why he forgot my birthday, instead of being accountable or making up a legitimate excuse, he simply told me he didn't forget my birthday, he just didn't believe in birthdays, which to me destroyed my opinion of my father. And from that time on, I hated my father. I hated him for 20 years until my 30th birthday, I got a birthday gift for him. I remember coming a big package and him opening it up, just so happy and surprised that finally my dad was getting it, that finally I could have a relationship, and this was his form of apology. And I open it up and it's a beautiful blazer, and I put it on and I'm so surprised that it fits perfectly. And I look at it and I call him, I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, thank you so much for remembering my birthday. And he said, oh, you're welcome. And as I'm talking to him, I open it and all the pockets and interior were ripped out of the jacket. My heart sunk, I was enraged. I told him, Dad, it's completely torn up. Why would you give me a jacket that's completely ripped with nothing inside? He said, I meant to do that. It's not for wearing. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, this is to remind you you're just like me. And I thought to myself, what, an asshole? I'm like, what do you mean I'm just like you? He said, I'm so worried about you because I'm worried you're going to be the richest man in the cemetery. Your entire life is driven by money. Money does not buy happiness. And I'm worried you're just like me. So that jacket's to hang in your closet to remind you, you cannot take anything with you, and I want you to be buried in that jacket and leave everything behind. That was the first warning about someone who actually cared about me, that I was on the wrong path. And as I continued my life driven by money, I laid in my new house and thought to myself, for the first time, I'm not happy. So I tried to fulfill that happiness by buying more things and different things, a golf course, a ski mountain, more houses. None of it would buy happiness. And I started surrounding myself by the wrong people, doing the wrong things, having the wrong ideas, until finally one night when I came home, 5 a.m. from the Grammy Awards, partying with a guy named Little John, after lying to my wife that I had a business meeting. And as I drove up and saw her silhouette. I'll never forget when I walked up to the door and she said, "You are not a rock star." In my intoxicated state, I said, "I may not be, but I sure feel like one." Well, when I came down the next morning, my wife explained to me that she wasn't happy. And this was unbelievably surprising to me. I literally, for years, my mom and my wife had told me I was so lost. And I kind of looked around when she said she wasn't happy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Look at this house. Look at these cars. We can go wherever and do whatever we want. We have 3 beautiful children. This is incredible. And how can you not be happy? You're not grateful? And she said, I don't like who you are. And if you don't take stock in who you were and what you want to become, I won't be here anymore. Now, when you wait all those years to marry your dream girl, and you know you've outkicked your coverage, you know the truth. I immediately went back and I thought about my what. And it had been so long since I thought about my what. I know a lot of people out there, they're worried about their why. I think the biggest mistake right now is people don't think about their what. Started asking, what do you want? What do I want? I didn't know what I wanted. And I started realizing that the minute I could figure out what I wanted, that I had a mathematical advantage in my life over most people. Because once you know what you want, it becomes a possibility. And a possibility is so much more of an advantage over nothingness. And so I started formulating an outline of taking my what and passing it through my 4 different principles: my personal values, my experiential values, my giving values, and my receiving values. And I started realizing, man, I don't want to bankrupt my personal values, my character, my integrity, my love, my family, my health, which I was doing. And then I thought about, man, I don't want to bankrupt all the experiences I've had, all the things I've been able to do and all the things I can do. And I definitely don't want to bankrupt, which I was doing, my legacy, my giving values of how I could be of service to so many people. I was very philanthropic, but I did it for the wrong reasons, right? I was driven by money. So even when I was giving, it was about my ego so people could tell me how great and generous I was. I never really was giving. I was always trading. I never gave. If I gave something, it always had something in return. I learned it in law school, quid pro quo. That's trading, that's not giving. But the irony of my life is that I went through these values, my personal values, my experiential values, and my giving values. I had spent my entire life on my receiving values. How much money could I make for me? For me. And I thought I was an optimist. I used to tell people everything works out for me. I was like Midas. Invest in stocks, it worked out for me. My golf course, it worked out for me. Any real estate, anything I did, it always worked out for me. It was all for me. And I thought I had some advantage over those other people who were victims that used to say, why does this always happen to me? And I'd make the distinction, but it happens for me. But it wasn't good enough because I realized that out of all the values that I had, that I would bankrupt my financial values over anything. Although 99% of the world focuses on the financial values, their receiving values, but yet they're not willing to ask for help. And so I realized that if I took those values of what I wanted and learned how to be inspired, change and shift the paradigm of value in my life, what does that mean? I was a manipulator, an overseller, a back-end seller, and even a liar. In fact, those are the things I always called my dad when I told him I hated him. In other words, all the things I hated about my father were really the things I hated about myself. The problem with being an overseller, back-end seller, manipulator, and liar is that you create a void for you to fill, and we never can. You know those people that back-end sell and oversell and lie to you and manipulate you. They never can fill the void or promises that they keep. And I decided that day that I was going to live my life in a different direction, that I was going to have faith. For the first time in my life, I was going to have faith in the universe and being of service and providing value. I was going to shift the entire paradigm of my life, and I was going to give unconditionally. Now, that doesn't mean I wanted to walk the streets of Calcutta giving away everything that I had like Mother Teresa. I believe that that allowance is an aggressive, hyperactive state. that it created not only the laws of attraction that help allowance happen, but as John Assaraf always teaches me, that law of Goya, right? The law of getting off your ass. I said, allowance is beyond making things happen. The law of attraction includes action, but I was going to live my life of service and with value. And that inspired me. That was the key to being inspired. And the interesting thing about inspiration is it becomes your why. It becomes your why of everything you do. I don't think people do what they love. I think they learn or inspired to love what they do. People have always told me, you're so lucky, you've always loved what you did. And if you look back, do you think I really love selling legal research online? That was my dream when I was 5 years old. That's what I love to do. No, I learned to be inspired. I learned to take my possibility and make it a probability by being inspired. Another mathematical advantage that most people don't take advantage of because they put their faith in the wrong things. They put their faith into what they don't want, and then they end up getting more of what they don't want instead of being inspired and putting your faith into what you do want. So you got to know your what, you got to know your why, make those possibilities your probabilities, and then every single speech I take is the most important part that nobody talks about, especially when you get to this woo-woo stuff, this spiritual stuff, or if you're religious stuff, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what's the most important thing is how. Right? How are you going to do it? You got to be disciplined. You got to do it every day. 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. Trust me, consistently every day, persistently without quit. You need to be disciplined. You want to know what habit to create for yourself? The number one habit to create for yourself is create a habit machine. Right? Create a habit machine so that you can think about what you want to do consistently and immediately be able to do it. The number one habit you should have beyond your habit machine is simple gratitude. The discipline that you should have, gratitude. Why? Gratitude gives you perspective. It makes your past unbelievable, your present better, and your future even brighter. I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, simply say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up for 30 straight days. Anybody here think they can say thank you for 30 straight days? Yeah, thousands of people. That's great. It's always the most frustrating thing for me because I know by tonight, half of you won't say thank you. I know by tomorrow, another half of you won't say thank you. And within 3 days, almost all of us will forget to say thank you. I've studied quantum physics, metaphysics, physics. I've talked to the world thought leaders, guys like Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, and they all agree. Gratitude is the most powerful thing in the world, but we're so far in our way, in our own way, we can't even be disciplined enough because we're afraid to say thank you. The second thing that you need to do is to have forgiveness, empathy. Forgiveness is the most powerful thing because it brings peace to everything. And you can't give what you don't have. So once again, there's only one person to forgive, and that's you. You can't give what you don't have. That's why my motto is make a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. I am a money-driven capitalist to help people. Because things don't happen to me. I'm not a victim, and they don't happen for me anymore either. I'm not even an optimist anymore. I am a toptimist because everything happens through me for others, allowing me to expand and accelerate everything that I want. The what, the why, and the how. Allow things to come through you. There'll be enough of everything. Thank you. There will be enough of everything for everyone. This is the philosophy and the theory of abundance when it comes through you for others. People ask me, how do you stay so inspired and motivated every single day? It's because there's more than enough. How can you not be? If the currency that you guys believe in is money, and so did I, an object of energy that you put into a current that allows me to give somebody money, they give me back food, a car, whatever it would be. The real currency in the universe, the real currency is faith. What you think, what you say, what you do, what you believe, and 2 unconscious competencies. Number 1, your genetics, your personality traits, your characteristics, your obsessions and addictions carried back, could be from 4 generations or 40 million lifetimes, whatever you believe. I don't care, but you have a DNA, a coding, that's your personality, that's unconscious to you. And secondly, your energy. And if you use faith, The combination or the aggregate of all of those as your currency, your object of energy to put into the flow to receive what you want, you'll be amazed how fast and how accurately and how big it can come. And it comes through thriving to create that energy, to create more energy and more energy on. I was approached by this guy today, and he gave me this card. He said, Dave, you coached me, and I created this charity called Through You. Right? I had no idea this happened. And he's showing me pictures of schools and of thousands of people that are impacted, making them happy because he learned one simple concept to allow to be a optimist to everything comes through you. And the more value you can provide, the better it is for you. I tell people all the time, look at life with a lens of productivity and accessibility. Number one, productivity is how much value are you providing? And it takes a lot of energy and time and emotion. It takes a lot to be of value and to be of service. I created something called a 120 rule because I wanted to shift the paradigm and value in my life. I wanted to trust the universe. I wasn't going to trade anymore. I was going to give unconditionally. Does anybody out there have a $20 bill, by the way? They're coming up. Give me a hand. I don't care. All right, where's your 20? All right, so can I have your 20? You sure?
Yes, sir.
You can afford it?
I can.
All right. Take this. There's 100 for you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Do you feel good? You do? I feel awesome. Anybody else have a 20? I started living my life dreaming when I woke up that my room was full of $100 bills, and it was my vision that I was going to provide $100 of value, not actually $100, $100 of value to everyone I saw, but also ask for help back of $20, creating a net value of $80 of giving every time and everything I did, including if I walked into a room. I walked into my family function the other day. I wasn't carrying the value energetically. I walk in, my nephew who loves me barely turned around, my mom, not even a smile. I decided to live the way that I teach, and I walked out, came back in with new energy. My nephew lit up, gave me a big hug. My mom turned around unconsciously and lit up as well. I was bringing value when I pick up trash, put back the grocery store carts, when I hold a door open, when I smile to people. I am giving value to them. I am inspiring them. But you got to ask for something back. I'll tell you what happened yesterday. I did a mastermind here, and thank you. It was a great mastermind. And I talked about value, and I taught people, if you want to change your life, 2 questions. How can I be of service? How can I provide you value? And 2, more importantly, do you know anyone that can help me? Write those questions down. Take it out of here and use it every day. If you only use it once a day, in person, on the phone, via email, or social media, radio, print, TV, just once a day, most people on average today are connected to at least 1,000 people. In 1 month, you'll increase your network by asking for help to 31,000 more people. And if you do it 4 times a day, it'll be 128,000 people. And if you do it more than that, I don't know the math, but I know it's more than that. You could change your life by asking for help. So I'm eating dinner last night with a famous chef called Ming Tsai. He owns a Blue Dragon in Boston. And we go to Nobu, and both of our egos are crushed because they don't know who he is. They definitely don't know who I am. And so he projecting his shit. He's like, oh, can you get the chef out here? So the chef comes out, doesn't really know who he is. I kind of play the agent. I'm like, oh, Simply Ming, the great chef, blah, blah, blah. He's, oh, okay. Meanwhile, he leaves. Next thing we know, we get free octopus. Next thing we know, another chef is there, the pastry chef with her special volcano chef dessert. And she's a big fan for the last 6 years now. They leave, and then this note comes to my table. And the waiter walks up, and he goes right up to Ming. He says, are you David? And Ming's like, do I look like a David? I'm Ming Tsai. That little Jew looks like a David. That's exactly what he said, by the way. So if I've offended anyone but myself, I apologize. except for Ming. And literally, the waiter said, "Oh, sorry." He said, "Your dinner's taken care of from those guys that were sitting over there." And they were Thrive people. And I hope you come find me, because the note said basically, "Dave, I followed what you taught me and I made a phone call to my biggest client." It's a big automobile manufacturer. And all I did was wish them a good weekend and said, "Is there anything I can do or be of service to you?" They immediately said, "Yeah, we need you down in San Diego to open up a whole new region for us." So he said, "Thank you. Hopefully, dinner is a fair commission for you. You're amazing." That was not my intention. This happens every day to me because I just want to be of service and provide value. And I'll tell you what, I know you weren't anticipating wherever you guys are, I will give you a free month of coaching, which would hopefully be at least 10 times the value of that dinner. I wasn't drinking that much. So please find me. Now, the interesting about this speech more than any other before I get to the Q&A is normally I get to a point in the story to give my lesson about after I got the warning from my father, after I got the warning from my wife, I got a job with a guy named Lee Steinberg. The reason I got the job, within 48 hours of meeting him, he hired me as his chief operating officer of the most notable sports agency. And I know why. Jeff Moorhead had bought into the Diamondbacks, but the reason he hired me was an emotional reason. My brother, who was summa cum laude at Harvard, was probably the most intelligent person that I've ever met. And I was blessed to share a room with him for over 18 years. So I knew how to communicate to him. And Lee Steinberg hired me because simply, he had thousands of resumes of people who wanted to be Jerry Maguire. It was simply because I could connect to him emotionally, because I'd practiced for 18 years how to speak to someone identically like that. And as I'm CEO of Sports One Marketing, I had already changed my philosophy in life. I had met a woman who told me on a plane the last and final shift in my life. As I was going on to my journey, a quantum shift in my life, she said to me, "Are you okay?" I looked at her puzzled, like, "What do you mean, am I okay?" She said, "You're so full of light, but you're blocking it." I said, "Well, I'm CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. I'm one of the most famous sports agents in the world. I'm fine. I made everything myself. I have a Ferrari, a Porsche, right? All these egotistical things." And she looked at me and she said, "That's great." She goes, "Do you meditate?" And even worse now, I rolled my eyes and I'm like, meditate? I don't have time to meditate. I've made everything myself. What do I need to meditate? The only people I know that meditate are sick, at home, on their mom's couch, high, and broke. And I don't want to be any one of those things. Meditation is not for me. She said, "Oh, that's too bad, because I could teach you to vibrate faster." Okay. She said, "Do you know everything vibrates?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a math guy. The earth vibrates the slowest, plants, animals, human, sound, light, and then thought." She looked at me and she said, "Do you know what thought vibrates the fastest?" I said, "No." She said, "The truth. The truth vibrates the fastest, and you can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. And I'm going to teach you to vibrate faster, to elevate your awareness so you too can consistently, persistently pursue your truth. Through awareness, I'm going to teach you to raise your vibration by being of service and of value. I'm going to teach you these things through being calm and peaceful and breathing." Does that interest you? Yeah, it did. My wife had to double check what I was doing, because when she heard I was going to India to a workshop about meditation, she thought for sure I was leaving forever. But that changed my life. I'm on the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential. My goal is to raise your vibration so you can teach others to raise their vibration, to teach other people to raise their vibration. Today, we have an opportunity to impact 1 billion people or more. If simply 1,000 of us can take those notes and figure out for yourself how to allow your own inspiration to come through you for others, to be a optimist, We can take that 1,000, turn it into another 1,000, to another 1,000, and reach 1 billion people to be happy. And there's one thing that I know. Happy people don't have disease. They don't destroy, right? They don't have, they're amazing. Happy people don't do bad things. This is not a complicated thing. Number one, you have to be happy to give it to other people. And if you're not feeling happy, then go ask for help. Ask for help. Ask somebody, can you please help me? This is what I need to be happy. Awesome. Thank you so much. This coin is a challenge coin. Oh, it's an Indian silver dollar. 120 back? I'll get you. What's your name? Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for throwing my speech off. Okay. That's not a plant, obviously. You know what's so interesting, and the reason that I'm thrown off is I still have a problem receiving. Anybody here have a problem receiving? We got to fight it because you got to receive. You got to force yourself to receive, and even more importantly, you got to ask to receive. But don't just ask small, ask big. The universe doesn't know that currency of faith. It hits a field of intent that's full of everything and everyone. Look around this room. 1,000 years ago, if anything in this room, if you told people it was even possible, they would say, no way. But it's here. It's here because of people like you making their possibilities probabilities and their probabilities their perspective or reality. Simply through the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Simply by being kind to their future self, by doing good deeds, by being of service, and most importantly, asking for help. 2 simple questions. How can I be of service? And do you know anybody that can help me? And all of us today, if we learn those 2 questions, we can empower others to be happy. And if you guys do that, not only will 1 billion people be happy, but you will make me happy. Thank you so much. I decided to do something different because one of the things I don't like about speeches is people are telling me what they think I should know. And some of the shit that I say is good and some probably doesn't resonate with you at all. So I would prefer, I saved about 13 minutes or so. I'm gonna take a few questions because I really want to know what you really want to know. What I said that maybe was confusing or needs more clarity. The thing about vibration, the thing about spectrum is that message, it has to be powerful, it has to be wide to multiple channels, and it has to be clear. And this is the only way that I can figure out to hopefully answer some of the questions. I'm gonna stay here all day as well afterwards to answer every single question. I will give you my Instagram, my cell phone. I will live my life of service. A lot of you know who I am, and you will all attest to the fact I will get back to you. I will stay here as long as you want. So I was hoping that a few of you may have a question for me. Yes, sir. Oh, here he is. Exercise.
So I thought you were talking about content, but it's something that I've really been deeper into. And I was curious to find out your perspective on how you want to maintain that content state of mind, like bringing that kind of frequency.
Great question. So how do I keep that quantum state of mind, that state of mind of peace? Here's an analogy for you. I think it's really important. So if inspiration is our goal, if when we're inspired we can bend time, when we're inspired we're happy, we're in spirit, we're connected to that which has inspired us, we're in the flow. When we're on a direct trajectory towards our potential or our truth, we're inspired. What happens? We get afraid. Our ego gets in the way. Number one, in order to stay in the quantum state, the mindfulness that you need to be in a state of abundance where there's more than enough, you have to know your ego. And in order to know your ego, you have to define it. I define mine in a multitude of ways, but number one is the need to be separate. Inferior or superior, the need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be guilty, the need to attack, the need to be frustrated, the need to be scared, the need to be anxious. And so what I do is when I'm not feeling good, if I'm not feeling inspired, I know the ego, edging goodness out of my life, is corroding my connection, because I know I'm always connected. It's just corroding my connection to that which inspires me. So what do? I stop. Whatever mechanism you want to know, but think about the analogy. What do people do? They're going on the drive, and they're supposed to be going down to San Diego on the 5 South, and somehow something happens that pisses them off or scares them, or life happens in some direction. They're tired, hungry, or other emotions that are there, and all of a sudden they turn off of their trajectory onto the 5 North. But emotions are wicked. They're not like a car. Emotions love to accelerate and grow. So what do we do when we're off? We put on the gas. Right? We put on the gas when we're angry. We put on the gas when we're guilty and resentful, when we're inferior and superior. We put on the gas, and then we end up in San Francisco wondering how we got there when we wanted to be in San Diego. And oh my God, my life is over. Do you know why I stand on stages? It's not for money. Look at anything I do, any video I do, any speech I give away my books and pay for shipping. It's not for money. You know why I do it? Because the number one cause of death of people under 50 is suicide. Are you kidding me? People taking their own lives because they're not happy, because they don't understand. Just stop. Right? Take a deep breath. Live in inspiration. All you got to do is take a step back, stop, ask for help. Which way am I supposed to go? You've been down to San Diego before. You're someone sitting in the situation I need. Stop, breathe. You don't have to be a master meditator. You don't have to be Zen. You don't even have to be woo-woo. You simply got to stop and ask for help. Ask for directions. People love to help. You're giving them a compliment. You are actually adding value to them by asking them for help. Nobody feels bad when you ask them for help. You're becoming an investment of somebody else. A tree has no branches. You're showing them that you're not separate, that you're the same and connected. And together, we can find the right way to get to San Diego through inspiration and happiness. That's how mindfulness works.